this week we're going to go out and follow my dad again on some of the older footage we have of him out there doing some cable restraint stuff. It's always enjoyable for me to go out there and follow my dad along. He's very proficient at setting these cable restraints, and he's been really, doing it a lot over the last decade. He got into it maybe about 15 years ago, but the last decade he's become really proficient at it. And if you have any need for any snares or cable restraints in your state, pay attention to the ease and the methods that he uses, and you'll be successful as well. So let's head out there on Dad's line right now.
There's a gray. First set. Boy, that's a dandy. Look at him. This is the first set we checked today. We had a nice gray fox, nice male. And you can see here how this is set up. This is a support wire to hold the cable restraint up. And it was barricaded on both sides with weeds and things. The cables I use about 4 feet long, and they'll have an 8-foot diameter circle. And you can't have anything that they can get entangled in. And this one just worked perfectly. Again, the support wire, cable restraint held in the ground by a wolf-fang anchor, and they really work well. Again, as we go along here, we'll show you some of the other sets and how really it looks just like a little path. You never think that looking at this. But we had him narrowed down. He finally come through here, and we got him. Nice big male gray. You got to be right on location, right on the path. Whereas a trap, you have your lure and stuff, and that'll bring him into an area. But I really like doing this. You woodsmen you find where they're traveling, find the paths. I set a lot of mine on deer paths, and they seem to work well. And we'll show you some of these as we go around. I know we don't have a couple up in these cables, but I have a couple cables out at the end of the field, and we'll see if we have any more out there. Here's another one of my sets. Cable restraint, that's probably about 7.5 inches off from the first solid surface. And this was just a path here. And you can see all the brush and stuff. That's exactly the way this other set was made. With all this brush and stuff around it, there's nothing here they can get tangled up in. And the wind's been pretty strong today. Been up like 25 miles an hour. And it's blowing these weeds a little bit. When I make this, these weeds are up like this. And these weeds over here. And I always try to keep a few weeds right around the cable so they don't notice it as much. But these are so much fun to set. It's just unbelievable. And you can set a pile of them in a day. Another one of my cable sets. How it's blended in. Put these weeds on the side. Really, they come up through here, right through there. And all these were cut and stuck in. Catch one here, there's nothing they're going to get tangled up in. They'll just have like that 4-foot circle. They can go either way here, and this is like a strip down through the field. And those fox like to cut through these little patches here. There's some mice and stuff in this field, and I'm sure they're in here, and they'll go through this and hunt. They see this path, they'll go right down through here. And again, I use all my cables are about 7 inches off the ground, 7-8 inches wide, just perfect for fox. Now if you're really after coyote, you're going to have to make those loops a little bigger. You're not going to catch them in them. Caught one a couple nights ago down here in this set. We got a gray one, and we showed you this set before this fox was in it, and you can see how I have it made so he can't get entangled in anything. And these wolf-fang anchors really hold them. This one's caught perfectly right around the neck. Nice red fox. it snowed a little bit last night, and they must have really been running around looking for something to eat, because they can probably sense we have this big snow coming up. As you can see, the edge of the woods is right here. All this light stuff that didn't need really to be cut down, and you can see the circle that he made going into this trail. So they were in here hunting, and the fellow that owns this has a place here where he burns some garbage and stuff, and they come in looking for this food. And I thought this would be a good set because it's close to that, and there's a trail right here. You can see the weeds and everything. The catch circle, all this was grown up just like these weeds here. And after he got caught, he knocked them all down. We have another set right here. That one's not. Oh, we got another one right around the corner. There's nothing in that one. That cable's still set. We got another nice redwood right here. He's not tangled up. That's the way to set him. We cut that one back a little far, but that happens once in a while. You can see here the catch circle, and I had it right down to about where it had to be. Because if he'd have got over here, he'd have got tangled up. But I was cutting that close. That's real close there. Another nice red fox. There you can see the catch circle. He's been in there quite a while. Those cables hold them. Now ideally you want to get them right around the neck, but that loop might have been a little big, or he got in a little differently. That one slid back a little ways. But there's another nice red fox. I really love using these cable restraints. I mean, I like to set steel traps, but you got to boil them and take care of them, handle them with care. A lot more weight, a lot more work. These cables, when I first started, you guys said, well, you spray them a little bit, which is fine. But when I sprayed them, they just didn't fire as quick as I'd like them to. And I'm using them right out of I boil them, get the grease or anything that's on them off of them, but I don't spray them with anything. I just hide them in the weeds and stuff, and they seem to work perfectly. Have very few turnaways. I had one this year, but not very many. You can see the cable restraint did its job again with a wolf fang anchor, and they anchor them right down. There's no way they're going to pull them out, especially when they're stretched out in these circular ways. And you have to have a license to trap with these cable restraints. You have to take a course. I took the course in 2007. I never really set these till like about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's really a lot of fun.
Mountain Man Bait. Our North American Trapper Mountain Man recipe includes ground Angus, fresh ground prairie dog, rendered prairie dog, and ground poultry in 4 equal parts, making up the majority of this predator bait. We add some other attractive and savory ingredients in this proven recipe, which includes beaver castor, tinctured beaver juice, liquid smoke, and other essentials. This top-grade canine incentive works great for coyote, fox, bobcat, and more. Proven products equals proven conservation. See all of our great wildlife control solutions at NorthAmericanTrapper.com today.
About halfway through my dad here on the cable restraint, and he's actually going to show you a little bit of beaver trapping here. That's one of the things you can do when you're out there. You can actually pay attention to other sign and animals, and if they're in season, you can go out there after them. But you'll see my dad here. He comes up with some unique methods and unique techniques that actually it surprises me sometimes with some of the things he does, but he's very successful. But the point I want to make here before we watch this segment here to kind of break up the show a little bit is when you're out in the field, whether you're trapping muskrats, mink, you see a piece of beaver chewing, make a beaver set. If you're out going after fox and you see some bobcat sign, maybe make a cubby, make a bobcat set. The things that you can do out in the field are only limited by your imagination, quite honestly. And your imagination can go anywhere when it comes to making sets for other critters. And my dad does that here. He's out on his cable restraint line. The farmer let him know there were some beaver in there, and he went over and made this set that we're going to show you here, and he was pretty successful. But he was pretty fired up, and I hope you enjoy this segment before we get back into some more cable restraint action.
I've been very fortunate to be able to trap this farm probably 6-7 years now, and we have our cable restraint set, and by setting them we also have an opportunity to trap beaver once in a while when they work in here, and it seems like every year they work in here. Now 2 years ago there wasn't any in here, and when I was scouting for the cable restraints and getting my sets ready this year, the beaver weren't even in here. They only moved in here a couple months ago. You can see up there the good feed bed that we looked at, and we're very fortunate that the farmer lets us trap here. They broke this dam out 2 years ago, and they built it back up, and the dam is still here, and the beaver come up out of the river. This is an ideal place to catch them, and we'll see what we got here. I think we may have some action. One of my guide sticks are down. I worked this set from up here because it's pretty deep down there, and I didn't want to get down in there. I like to piddle around with them. I made this set from up here from scratch, and I thought, how am I going to hold that conibear up? Well, I got an idea. Sometimes I don't always come up with the right idea, but here I got a block. And what I did, I put it right down over the conibear stick that holds the conibear. One inner. Oh, that's a dandy. Yes, sir. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I might need some help, son. That is a dandy there, buddy. Oh, man. Nice beaver. Oh, yeah. Pretty happy with this one. Now, this was all froze up when I got in here about a week, when I started thinking about setting for the beaver about a week ago, and I didn't want to chop through the ice. You can see now within the last 2 days it really thawed out, and I decided not to put one right up there by the feed bed in the hut. You miss one there, then they're not going to move around. I'm sure we'll have some action here before too long, because the other one will be out looking for this one. Now you got to really be careful with these, because there's a lot of power there. I remember one time I was trapping up an ornament and got my thumb in one, but there is a little crack in it. My son helped me get out of that one. Then I'll move this down. It's down in the bottom of the pond about that far. And what I like to do, I like to get these wedges and put in. When those wedges are in there, that conibear will not move. There, I got my 2 stabilizing stakes in. That will not move. Then she's ready to go in the water. Put my guide sticks in, fix it up with the block, we're ready to go for another night. Just stick this right down in there. Like that. Right in the perfect spot. Goes right to the bottom. Take my block, slip that right up over there. Pull that back as far as I can, tight as it can get. I'm going to put a couple more guide sticks in because he knocked a couple off and I don't see them right here, but they're easy to get right here. So that's all there is to it. When I never set this before, past years, and I thought, boy, that's a good place to pass up. That's loaded. Loaded means as soon as they bump that, that's going to go off. If you get this too far over this way, it just won't fire. And I can show you. So you got to have these set just I always try them 2 or 3 times. And you saw how hard I pulled on that last one. Now we'll do it after I have it set where it should be. Right down it goes. Now I always check them when I set them, because you get that up there just a shade too far and they won't fire right. And your support wire has to be pretty firm. I usually use 11 gauge and put that in the ground, and you can bend that to fit pretty much what you want. And I like the instead of the wire stops, I like the cable, where the wire hooks into the cable instead of the wires. The cable just, I think, holds it better. You can adjust that to the height of it. And when I put the wire in, I always use a couple of local pieces of stick or something to put down in that same hole I have the wire in, so that don't give very much. It has a lot of play in it. They could knock it off before it goes off. You can see here I have those sticks right down in where my 11 gauge wire went. I see we got another nice red. Little bit of snow there, you can see pretty good. Been 4 or 5 nights since we had anything come through here. At least they didn't go through the cables. That's a nice one though. What I started doing, when you set for fox, they recommend like 6 inches off the ground, 6 to 8 inches high and wide. And there's some coyotes around here, and they recommend 10 to 12. So what I've been doing, I try to go halfway in between there, and once in a while the foxes can get in back to their hip. But that doesn't happen very often. The ideal catch is right around their neck. But you can see this one here, I got it back along the hip because that circle is a little bigger. Hopefully maybe a coyote would have come through it too. You can see here, this isn't a very big place, but it's been very productive throughout the years. And he's trying to get some rabbits and small game in the area with his brush pals, and we're trying to keep the foxes down. And a couple of the years we caught 6, 8 fox in here. Now we're started using cables, and we can get them later in the year. This is a nice red. He's been in here for a little bit, and this is the only one we had in this area today. But we did see a couple tracks out there with a little bit of the snow that's left. As you can see here, the cables that I use are only 4 feet long, but you can see the big circle they make, and they got to be put where they cannot get tangled up with anything. And once you use a cable, it's done. You just can't use it. So we'll take care of the fox, and we have plenty of other sets here. We have one down around the corner, and I had like 7 or 8 in here, and that's one less. So we still have 7 good sets in here. Leave these set for 3 or 4 more nights and see if we can get another fox or 2 to help the gentleman out just trying to get some small game in the area. So we'll take care of him, clean this area up a little bit, take the cable out of the ground, and we can use some of the parts on it yet to make up some other cable. But this is great exercise. You're doing the people a favor by getting a few of them out of here to cut down on diseases. It's just a lot of fun being out, and you just enjoy it that much more. And you got to have patience when you set these cables. It's not like setting jump traps or something when you use lure and stuff and bring them in. You don't use very little. I hardly ever use any lure around these sets. You just got to be patient. And I learned that from my father when I started hunting when I was 12 years old. He always did his scouting ahead of time, and he picked out a good spot, and he said, stay put. And I learned that from him, and I've done that all these years. And a couple of my buddies know when I get in a spot, I stay put. And in a couple of years I hunted where I probably shouldn't have been hunting because I got attached to the area and I didn't want to leave it. But it's really a lot of fun. Have patience, and sooner or later it will produce.
Well, that's the end of the show today. I definitely enjoy being out there with my dad every time I get the opportunity. I don't take that for granted. Watching him and the methodical nature that he uses when he puts these cable restraints in the ground has taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot of the little techniques that helps him be successful in this. And anybody out there that has game trails and has populations of foxes and coyotes and the occasional bobcats and things, the methods he shows you are going to work for you anywhere across the country. It's just a really good time, and it gets you out in the nature. It extends your hunting season. And having Dad part of this process over the last 20 years has really just made my job and my life a lot more enjoyable. So with that, thanks to my dad for allowing me to tag along. If you need any products, go to NorthAmericanTrapper.com. We've got pretty much everything you need to get you started in the right direction when you go to the field. Proven products equals proven conservation, and we'll see you next time.